Hi, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We were having a little conversation before we start with this evening show. And tonight we have a special guest with us. We have Mr. Willie Prempeh, right? Am I saying it right?
Billy Prempeh,
Yeah, he's running for Congress for the 9th District of New Jersey. Thank you for being here, Mr. Willie. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. Like I say to all of you guys, we are trying to support anybody that's running for public places. They have the idea to help the community regardless of who they are or what they're doing. In this case, Mr. Willie, I'm going to give you the word for you to talk to our drivers out there and give you a little explanation of who you are, what you're doing, and what is your goals if you get them in a public place that you're running for.
So hello everyone, my name is Billy Prempeh and I'm from Paterson, New Jersey. I'm currently running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District. And one of the main reasons why I decided to get involved in this congressional race is the direction that our country is going in, especially here in New Jersey. We're going in a very negative direction where a lot of jobs and livelihoods are being destroyed. And it seems that our elected officials today aren't really stepping out and speaking on behalf of the common person. The Port Trucking Authority, they came and they reached out to me and brought to my attention that a lot of truck drivers are suffering with the ability to carry on a livelihood or even expand here in the state of New Jersey. And the issue that I see with that is the United States is extremely dependent on the trucking industry. A lot of goods, services need to be transported in and out across the country, and with antitrust situations in place like we have here, it makes it very difficult for the truck drivers to earn a proper livelihood. Especially now that we have the COVID-19 situation, a lot of businesses are shuttered. When our country is able to open up and we get back on the right track, we're going to really have to depend on truck drivers. And moving forward, I think now would be a good opportunity to move our country in the right direction and support the truck drivers. Because right now, if nothing changes and we're already on a path where our economy is going downhill, we have a lot of opportunity to rebuild our economy and provide jobs for people, but something like that is impossible without the appropriate representation. And I wanted to be the person to come out and speak on behalf of the truck drivers, not just truck drivers, but citizens all across the state that are looking to better their lives. And this is something that I feel could really provide for that.
No, and thank you, Mr. Will, for coming over here and giving those words to people. You know, a lot of our drivers come from different countries, and they feel segregated in a way, especially in these times that we're going through,
right,
where we're going out and demonstrating about the abuse that's happening. And matter of fact, all drivers, I don't know if you know, but they're going to, tomorrow between 12 and 1, some of the terminals are going to stop and support these changes in how, the police officers behave with our community, minority groups community. And we agreed that something had to be done, and we wanted tonight with you here, we want to also express that we want to have some changes, especially for us. We are minority groups and we spend our times in different states, different places, and sometimes because of that we get abused ourselves because the lack of language. Sometimes we'll be confronted in areas where the police officers are really rude to the drivers. And we don't want to attack to all the officers out there doing their jobs. We just want to say to those
right,
officers that they unfortunately don't understand that driving a truck is not that easy. And we deal with a lot of aggravations in the roads. And sometimes, when you drive 12, 14 hours, you commit some kind of mistakes, little mistakes that sometimes when we get pulled over become really big ones. I'm not saying that we have bad drivers out there. I'm pretty sure we have a whole bunch of bad drivers too. But the majority is just going out there to make a living. So we are supporting this movement of making changes to our police departments and making sure they understand how to behave when they pull over anybody, regardless of race or color. And hopefully things change for the future. Coming back to what we're talking about, the reason we're asking people like you to come in, you are a minority group, and we have a lot of people that are minority groups. They are Black and Spanish, and we have Polish people, people from Asia. They are running the ports, and we feel neglected. We feel neglected in the point that we were talking to Mr. William last week, and Will. And we were saying, Richie, we were telling you, right, that we have a problem because We are the first responders for any emergency in the country when it happens, and we are the first ones that never received any kind of support. Until now, we still have the issue with COVID-19, and nobody from any of our local politicians have come out into the poor area where we are keeping the economy going and ask us or ask any of the drivers if they need any kind of supplies to protect themselves from being infected, to any kind of issues that we may have. We haven't had nobody coming to ask us from the politicians that are in place already if we have been helped with this PPP program that was out there to support small businesses. So this is how neglected all these drivers feel, and this is why all these people that are watching the show and are going to be watching tomorrow this show feel like that we don't want to go out in boats, because the people that have the opportunity to help us so far have neglected us, have forgot about us. They go out there and they tell everybody we're going to keep America moving, we're going to do everything to bring American back to normal. But guess who does that? The independent drivers, all the truck drivers in general. Small trucking companies, they're suffering because they can't seem to get the help to move their businesses forward. And that's the thing that's happening right now.
So for people that are watching right now that are unaware of what the current situation is, being a truck driver, it's an opportunity it's a job career that can provide good income as well as a stable career for many people. Why is it that it seems like a state like New Jersey, where we have ports in Newark, where a lot of business is coming from overseas into New Jersey, and we use these drivers to move this across the country, you would expect an industry like this to be very well protected and represented so that people can continue to provide for their families and keep the economy going. Why do you believe that we aren't being represented? What is the response you've been getting from the current politicians? Like, why do you feel
to be honest,
leaving you behind?
I honestly stopped asking politicians to get help because I got, they give you a phone number, an email where you can send and see if we can get a response, and I got tired of asking. All I know is that we have an organization like Port Driver Association that right now is trying to help people. They are getting the driver licenses to get back in the working force. Okay, you mentioned something. We moved the local economy in the East Coast.
Absolutely.
We are driving there the street. We have plenty of jobs out there. I can assure you, for all the trucking companies that are out there looking for drivers, that we can have drivers. But here's the thing. We can get a new driver tomorrow out of the school, but he have to wait for 2 years to get a job with anybody.
Wow.
How is that possible? Why organizations like Port Driver Association or any other organization out there can help them get in the working force? Why? Because we need to change some of the laws. Okay, transportation is being neglected for many decades. I'm a testifier of that because I've been working with this industry for more than 2 decades myself, trying to make changes, and I haven't made any. Why? Because I don't have money. I don't have the support from the people in the Congressional situation because I can't support them economically to be in their jobs. So this is the kind of situation. It's not about that we have what we call just one group of 10 or 6 people. We have 14,000 people that have independent owners. About 75%. We talk about 69 to 75% of those 14,000 drivers are independent in the force, and they have no representations. We have local unions that have been trying to help us, and now instead of helping us, they are also trying to help us do things. But unfortunately, they give up, and they're trying now to reclassify us and make us employees. No matter how much it takes, they want to make us employees. Either you become a big company or you become an employee, and that's I'm very upsetting. We were having a conversation before this, where we were talking about, it just take a couple of things like taking the antitrust, make us exempt, to change some of the stuff. We can have apprentices created over here with the trucking companies that are willing to do it.
And they need drivers.
Yeah, and the thing is, the insurance company are the biggest enemy of these changes. Why? Because they don't want to have new drivers. Meanwhile, they want to have drivers with experience. But where do you get the experience?
When there's nowhere to actually give them the skills necessary.
It's not a training class. You go to a driving school, they make sure that you get your driving privilege and making sure that you pass the state and the federal test for you to drive a truck. But that's it, that's the job. For you to get more experience, you have to talk with experienced drivers. They have been in the road, they can understand. It's like when you send a police officer, talking about police officers.
Right.
You send a rookie officer with with an older officer in the force so he can pass the knowledge. That's how the union jobs used to be back in the 60s and 50s. They used to have somebody with experience running with a small one. Now the insurance don't want you to have a driver in the seat. Okay, in the passenger seat, you can't have another driver. That's insurance policy. Okay, you can't have a driver training because he's only 2 years experience. We can't hire him. So where he's going to get the 2 year experience?
So what's basically the situation that we have going on is we have regulations in place that are preventing new drivers from coming in. Because you told me a statistic earlier where there's so much work coming in from these ports in New Jersey that these trucking companies can essentially hire a new driver every single day.
Every single day.
Just to meet up for the demand. However, these policies are put in place to stifle the independent business owner, individual LLC owners that want to own and operate their business. They can't do that. They're out here competing with massive corporations.
Well, drivers will have to become, first of all, company drivers. Eventually, they can grow to become LLC if they manage their ideas and they manage their money properly. They can become their own independent owners. But here's the situation. How do we want to help those people? Where do we give the knowledge?
Right.
When you go to a driving academy, they teach you how to drive. They don't teach you how to manage money. They don't teach you
the business.
Yeah, they don't teach you the business. So the association, we've been fighting for years to try to come out with an idea. We asked the help of the Port Authority. They say, I like it. You have great ideas, but we don't have the resources. So this is the kind of situation. It's like, I'm trying to help you with some ideas based on the 20 years that I've been working in this industry, trying to make changes, and I saw where we can make improvements without costing too much money and create something that can help people like you, me, or anybody of our nephews, our sons, our friends.
This would essentially benefit a lot of people, not just the jobs, but it would allow for more of an influx of product and goods to move throughout the country.
Yeah.
The more things being done, the more jobs that are provided, the more money in the economy, so that we can continue to keep the country going.
You were in our, in the Air Force. We have a lot of people that have been servicing in our forces. They retire from them. They don't know where to start. They don't have a job. Maybe they didn't get a career for whatever reasons. And we have a good job opportunity. Multinationals are paying good $60,000 to $80,000 for a driver with the proper training,
Right.
with a 2 year and good clean record. But how do drivers get the clean records if they don't understand what is a clean record to begin?
Right.
I have a driver, they say, listen, I have a clean record, but I can't get a job. I ask him, what is your clean record? I say, well, I don't have no points in my driver's license.
He's never had the opportunity to drive.
No, but here's the thing. This is a driver with experience, more than 2 years. She's looking to go to work for a company, and this is a real story. He was trying to look for the post office, right? They offered him a job as a driver at the post office, so he went looking for a driver. He applied. He managed to get in. When he went there for his driving record was clear with the MD, but his PSP, which is his record for safety, was completely neglected. The driver didn't even know that existed. Now you would say, well, you're a truck driver, you're supposed to know these things. We have companies that go, oh, we have a great department of safety, they train our drivers to be good. But they don't even understand that. Who are the Department of Safety? Retired police officers.
Because they're not truckers.
They're not truckers. So here's the situation. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to fake to any of those safety people that are out there doing their jobs and making sure our drivers are okay. But let's be realistic. The majority of poor drivers, they retire, ended up being a security officer.
Right.
Why? Why we can't help organizations like the one we have behind here to create a new working force for those safety jobs that are opening everywhere, nationwide? Why can't we train those drivers to work with the Port Authority, to train the new drivers that are coming over here? Why? Because simply bureaucracy. And this is the thing, that's why people ask me, oh, but you bring in people that nobody knows, because I'm tired of the people that I know. I need new blood. I need people like you to come in place, and we want to support people. And guys, We have to go out and vote for the people that we bring in. We try to bring people with new mentalities. Mr. William here, you want to help us, right? You want to do something new, not just for the community of independent drivers. I hear that you.
A lot of people benefit from this, you know, and a lot of people are going to benefit from this at the end of the day. It's going to help businesses. It's going to help the community. It's going to help truckers. It's going to do so much. And it's backwards, at least for me to think, because for the longest I thought New Jersey truck drivers were very well represented, and as well as truck drivers across the nation. I thought a lot of them were well represented, considering the significance of their career path and what they have to do for this country. And seeing that they're not getting representation and they're getting priced out, and they're making it difficult for an industry that actually requires hundreds of thousands of people to fulfill these spots. They're being pushed out, and they're being kicked to the side in favor of large corporations that can afford to buy out contracts and prevent these smaller independent drivers from building a living and creating something great. There is no representation to allow them to do this. And I feel that with what you want to put in place, this is something that, you know, electricians, they've got unions, longshoremen, they've got unions, they've got protections that are there to help ensure that someone's speaking on their behalf. And to hear that one of the largest industries like trucking is not represented.
The only industry cannot be taken away from this country too.
Yeah, and that's another thing you mentioned. It's one of the few industries in this country that can't be exported. And no matter how long the world's going to keep spinning, I should say, we're always going to need truckers. We're always going to need people to transport. We're always going to need to move goods, medicine, many different things, packages, postal, all kinds of things. So an industry like this isn't going to go anywhere. But when we have regulations like this in place that make it difficult for these industries to grow, we're not only hurting families, we're hurting our community, especially at a time like this when our country is just starting to get back on its feet after being closed down for over 3 months. This is something that I feel is going to require a lot of critical change, especially because in the next couple of years, we don't know what the direction our economy is going to go in. And we need to be able to keep our economy going up. So I believe making the appropriate changes to open up for this industry will help benefit the economy, and I believe it would allow it to help push it forward in the right way.
Well, imagine this, okay? You mentioned just now something that you say that we want to, you know, push the economy to move. Where are our representatives right now asking the independent drivers? There are 70% of the majority of trucks in the nation. Where are they right now? Where are they asking for any kind of needs that we may have? Where are they? How are we supposed to move this country forward if our trucks get stuck and they can't move? Anything that you utilize, regardless if you work in a factory, regardless if you work in a hospital, in a school, everything is moved by trucks. And everything, unfortunately for many people, comes from the ports. I know that a lot of people say we have to start building in America, but yes, we will start building in America in one of the future. Maybe we do the right things, but we still have to transport the merchandise from the ports to build those new places to work. So we have to support the people that are already there. You know what they did in this infrastructure? They spent $3 billion in the port area to create a new infrastructure for the Bayonne Bridge, to put more rails inside the terminals. Okay, everybody sees that every day. The train is taking the majority of our work now. In 2025, they want to make sure that we have only like 25 to 30% of interstate traffic. Everything is going to be moved by trains. That's the idea of all this construction. But they haven't even made one place for a driver to go wash their hands. You go to any terminal right now, I can dare you, we have portable bathrooms for one bathroom for every 1,000 drivers. So this is the kind of abuse that we're going, and this is why we feel neglected. You know, I'm not trying to attack them. A lot of drivers don't understand the industry. We have a fight with what we call the people that work in the terminals, because we see how they get treated. And it's like when you live in a neighborhood where you have a nice fancy house with Christmas light and your house doesn't even have windows in there, window glass, you know. So that's how we feel, you know, and we are like, why is this out of context? Why can't we make it something, a level? You know, the union is always going to be a union and it's going to have better representation. But why can an association can help the drivers? Why can't we become exempt of the antitrust so drivers can have some kind of representation so they don't feel this way neglected? And this is what we're asking, we're asking you right now to help us if you get in place when you get to Congress, to come out and say, listen, it's time to change the antitrust law for the small businesses.
Mm-hmm. And that goes for not just the state of New Jersey. I believe that's something that needs to be implemented nationwide for the areas that also aren't represented. And if I believe you told me earlier, there's nothing like this in place across the country.
No. I mean, they have smaller organizations, don't get me wrong. We're talking about small groups of people that organize maybe 100, 200 drivers. They organize. It's a movement in Facebook that you can see too. All my guys in Miami, they went to Washington. We were talking about this movement. They went to Washington. They were really supporter of changing and making sure that anybody can make a crystal clear transition with all the brokers. What's that called? Broker transactions. That's the word that I was talking about.
Okay.
The transactions with the broker were crystal clear, so we can see what they're getting, so we can get a fair share of what we do in our job. But people stay there for weeks, okay, trying to get this. The politicians in Washington come out, talk to the drivers, say we're going to do something. Here's the thing. Everybody had to go back to work. Without representation, who's going to follow up?
Right.
Over here in the state of New Jersey, a lot of my fellow drivers were upset with the organization because they say, how come we don't go out and protest now that everybody's protesting about these abuses? And I understand, because we don't have to. Why want to protest tomorrow, do a demonstration, and when everybody leaves, who's going to follow up that?
It's just,
they're going to say, what about you? What about me? What about me? I can only represent myself and my company.
Right.
I can't represent you or anybody else as a company. So here's the situation. Now, if it was a different thing, if we didn't have the antitrust on our shoulders, we can structure the association in a better way where we can have lawyers. They can come out and say, listen, these contracts are illegal, which are many are. Don't get offended. It's the truth. If you go to your lease agreement, I'm not trying to offend any trucking company. I work with you guys, and I just want to make sure that you understand some trucking companies do the right things, some trucking companies do the wrong thing. It happens in every business.
Right.
Okay? But if we have a contract that is properly writing, it's properly done, we won't have so many abuses. That will increase the level of profits for the drivers. And, let's talk about the things that are always attacking me. What about the abuse that we get inside the terminals? Well, if we have an organization properly structured, we can go and talk to the organization that represent those workers inside there, and we can come out with an agreement where somebody that violates the rights of the poor drivers have to have some kind of reprimand, right? And we can do something like that if we become organized properly. Everything can be achieved, but we need representation. How will you feel if you're going to give somebody some kind of money or fee for being in an organization, but they don't do nothing for you?
It's a waste of money. It's a waste
People
of
do it for OADA.
Richie, like I say, the things that were happening is, over the last 2 decades that I've been working on it, it wasn't easy to understand the industry. It's so complex and it's so hard to understand, because we are in the drayage system, but we have also the trailer, the dry van system, the loose freight.
Okay.
So it's two different things. And even though that we all use the truck and a box to move freight, it's two different things. The drayages and that is different. It works differently. So people don't understand those little scenarios. They don't understand why one pays more, one pays less.
Right.
So that's why you have to have special people that understand the industry to come out and say, listen, something needs to be done properly. So the regular people like you and me and everybody of our families don't have to pay extra money for their goods. Because that's why everybody's afraid. That's why everybody's saying, well, if we allow the transportation industry to do whatever they want, the people are going to pay the price. No. If we do it properly, if we do it with people that understand the industry the right way, it won't be changes. Why? Because we will take all the middlemen out of the equation. They don't need to be there.
Because that's why it's expensive in the
That's
first
why
place. And that's what it's like. That's what it's like with a lot of industries and a lot of programs. when the more bureaucracy, the more people in between, the more expensive and convoluted the process becomes.
Yeah, but the money that's supposed to go for the truck drivers never gets there because it stays in the other shelf. But meanwhile, I haven't got to any store myself. I don't know about you, but I haven't got to any supermarket and I see the prices dropping in any of the goods.
No. It's kind of the same. If anything, they're going up because of
They're
inflation.
going up. But here's the question. If you go and you see all the demonstrations of the truck drivers that went in Washington, the truck drivers in the poor area, they all complaining that they don't get enough money. And it's true. When I started back in 1994, that's when I started becoming a driver, to fix a tire was only $20. Now it's almost $45.
Wow.
A used recap tire used to cost $150. Okay, now it's $180 to $220 if you have a decent recap. Chinese tires, everybody love them. Okay, they last you for 2 years. They only cost like $250 to $245. No, they're expensive, but they don't last longer. You go buy a good brand, okay, the good ones, you pay $475 to $525. So you get what you pay for it.
Right.
So, but the cost of living, the mechanic used to cost $25 an hour to $45 to $65, and the dealers. Now it's $80 to $100 to $145.
Wow.
A truck used to cost $20,000 to $40,000. Now it's between $40,000 to $80,000. Plus the maintenance and the new DEF engines, the new emission-free trucks, can vary just to fix that system, not to fix the engine, just the emission system, between $17,000 to $25,000.
So essentially, just being a single owner operator or a small LLC, it's a lot to compete with. When you're dealing with these massive multi-billion-dollar corporations that can afford to access these things, as well as being able to meet the regulation standards, it makes it difficult for the average person to even keep up. You know?
Yeah, but here's the thing, this is why they're trying to reclassify, because listen, I just mentioned a whole bunch of things that we don't have the money to fix. So why you don't become an employee? That's a good question.
Right.
Okay.
And when you say be an employee, for people that are watching, can you kind of
when you become an employee, drive for a company instead of having a truck that's leased to a company. When you become independent in the drayage area, you can either have your own authority or you can lease to a trucking company. Okay. Or you can become just a driver for one of their trucks. So lately the idea is to reclassify drivers as an employees because, let's face it, they can't afford the truck, they can't do nothing, they say that we don't have we can put our own contracts together, which is true because the lack of representation. So they say, just become an independent, just become a company driver, forget about your truck. And that I refuse to do.
So essentially what's happening is these large corporations are just absolving all the smaller...
Well, not the large corporations, the manufacturers that are benefactors, the ones that are trying to come up with this, are trying to come out with this idea. And that's another long story that I don't want to get into it. But the idea is this. Yes, we have a lot of situations, but I believe we have to leave this industry open for people to have the opportunity to become independent. Everybody opens a restaurant, not everybody's going to have a franchise.
Right.
Okay, the same thing happened with the transportation. Everybody can have a truck, not everybody's going to have 20 trucks, but you know what? If they can have that opportunity to better themselves, go to the next level where they can make their own schedules, have their own time to go to different places. I have mothers, right now they're becoming independent drivers. They go with their kids, they manage their schedule so they can work from 5 o'clock in the morning. The father goes to drop the kids in the morning, and the mother come back at 3 o'clock and stay with the kids, thanks to this independency. So, not everything is bad. We have some good things, especially for parents in small, families. They can give their kids something. An independent driver can help their kids go to college because they can pay for their college. They make a little effort, they hard work. And it's everything about how you structure. And this is what we need to change, the structural part of how you become independent drivers. We want to educate through the association to the drivers to understand how to be completely independent the proper way. You know, like I mentioned before when we were talking prior to the show, I tell you, you know, it's not a school that you can call and say, I want to enroll in there to understand how to manage my own business unless you go to college. You know, but in college, you only learn how to run a business. They don't tell you how to run a trucking business.
Correct.
Because they don't understand the factors of the trucking industry. So this is the kind of situations that people like you, once they become in place, can help us. You know, this is why we're asking you, if you get elected, to don't forget about us. It's an industry that needs help. All these minority groups, you know, Latinos, blacks, Europeans, Polish, you mentioned it, Russians that were in Washington, the majority was Russians. We all want to do one thing, better conditions of living, okay? We want to give a better future for our kids. We don't want to just be employees. We took this hard part of changing to independent because we see that we do it right, we can grow for our families. We can be a better living. The majority of independent drivers have their own homes.
Which is good.
Yeah, and so we help the local economy, right? All this states, Elizabeth, and this is a sad situation. I mean, we have over here Richie. I want to just put something that happened. He's in the Union County. He purchased a house in a commercial area, which is full of trucks, but he can park his truck there.
They're telling me that I can't park my truck on my own driveway.
Exactly. So this is why it's like, you know, you're talking about the industry that supports the Union County, the Middlesex County, and all these counties surrounding the poor area. They don't want to be friendly to the only industry they're supporting by taxes, by paying taxes to keep their, you know, the districts open. Why? Why are you so, you know, why is so much anger against the truck drivers, the one that are keeping the local economy alive? If you go to a supermarket, if you go to anywhere, trucks are all over the place.
Right.
But you park your truck up to 12 o'clock, you get impounded. You go to Walmart, you park your truck in there, they impound it. So
it's like they need us, but then they don't want to help us out. They don't want to
They
accommodate.
just want the benefit of kicking to the curb.
yeah, you know, it feels like we are mistreated, we are abused. Inside the terminals, like I say, guys, I know that you're going to ask me, well, talk about the ports, talk about the ports. Yes, we are mistreated in the ports, and I think we mentioned already, if we have a proper organization, we can go and talk about how can we work together. I mean, let's talk about the longshoremen just got a win. Now the New Jersey state is going to be out of the Waterfront Commission. The Waterfront Commission is the organization that controls who gets hired and the background checks and all that stuff. Now New Jersey just win the case where they don't want to need that. So, but they got representation, you know, to fight for that. And a lot of people say, well, how that benefits? You know, it's not a benefit for us, but it's in our industry. We should know.
We'll work together.
Yeah, so we got to understand what these things do. You know, they want to have more people working in the longshoremen. So the Waterfront Commission, the process to get inside the ports were taking too long, almost a year, in order for you to get inside the union. But now it's going to take a little less. I don't know, it's still in debate. You know, I haven't read all the acts. But that was because they have organization. That's because they have representation and they supported the government and they went and they fight in small courts and then they went to the state court and then they went to all these kind of courts to try to pass that. And so far they achieved that. What about us?
Now we need to do the same.
Now we need to do what? And why are we going to do it? Guys, I know, I understand you, and I know that you're frustrated with why we can do the same. Well, if we get people, Ms. Williams here, in places, in political places where he can help us, we can do that. We can ask, but the only thing that we can ask right now, be exempt of the antitrust law. That's all we're asking for.
Well, just one thing. It's so simple. People ask for so many things.
And this is a simple
We're
solution.
asking for one thing.
The simple solution would have such massive positive ramifications.
Even the unions would love me if I give you the antitrust laws.
It blows my mind that something so simple that could have so many positive effects has been overlooked for so long.
Yeah, and this is the part that everybody's afraid because they say, well, if we do that, then the unions will take over. Well, you know, if it's going to help the community, if it's going to help increase the, you know, increase the chances of you increase your income, let it be. You know, I'm not saying that I'm a crazy union member. I'm saying that whatever it is that can help us better our working conditions, it can happen to better our working conditions.
Right.
In a way that we can all benefit. But we need to do something. We can't sit down and we already did 5 demonstrations, so we don't need to do any more demonstrations. You know, they say that a crazy people is a person that does the same thing over and over and over, trying to get different results. Believe me, I thought I was crazy. I learned that I'm not. But now what we're doing is we're getting involved with political campaigns, okay? And now we're here with political activists who want to be in political places so they can help people like us. They take the time to understand. And here's the question they say, oh, well, they're going to be there just until they get in public seat.
I hate when they say that, man. I hate it.
And that's an answer that you have to tell these people, you know. That's one of the questions that, oh, well, the guy is going to be there talking to you only until he gets into a political seat. After that, he's going to forget. So for those people that think like that, what would you say to them?
So what I say to those people is at the end of the day, and I'll play devil's advocate. Let's say that is the situation, that I'm only doing this to get elected. I have to get elected again. And that also goes for any other politician that's in the same exact position. My goal at the end of the day is to ensure that New Jersey prospers and New Jersey does better than it currently is right now. And New Jersey is just one part of that picture for the rest of the country. I'm doing this for a much larger reason. I know that I'd be able to sleep safely at night and happily at night, knowing that the decisions that I'm making, the things that I'm doing, are actually benefiting the people of not just the 9th District in New Jersey, but the country as a whole. Because I want to see America prosper. I want to see America do great. We deserve to do great. We've got a lot of great individuals that offer a lot to society, and I want to be a part of that process. So to the people that feel that, you know, someone just wants to get in and they want to use the name of the Port Authority or something just to get into office, that's not necessarily going to benefit the long and term goal of pushing our country forward, because that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. And we have to also be mindful that there are politicians that genuinely care, that really do want to make a difference. There's a lot of people that, you know, don't support what I'm doing or the direction that I've taken in politics and wanting to do something much different. There's people that are trying to silence me as well. There's people out here that want to do the right thing for you, and you have to be open-minded to that, and just know that we want to do better. We want to see a better situation, just like you do as well.
Yeah, and you see, guys, we can only do so much, okay? I was talking to somebody, and he was like, well, you know, over the years, I'm getting tired, you're getting old, I'm getting old, there's nothing we can do, we never saw changes, I think we're going to die, and we're going to see no changes coming to our industry. Well, I refuse to believe in that. I refuse to believe in that because we have done changes. 20 years ago, we started with unions helping us. After 6 years of failures, we started doing ourselves, and we failed too in an independent way, but we haven't given up. We're still working in new blood like Richie here, and more new blood that's going to still come in. It's going to come in and help us change our ways. Now we went from a system where we used to go and try to burn tires in the streets, so now we're talking to candidates for political places.
And that's another thing that I wanted to touch on, is that a lot of the politicians that are out here, when we were mentioning bringing in new blood, one of the issues that America faces is we keep electing the same people over and over and over again. It's like you said, the definition of insanity. We've got people that have been in office for 20, 30, 40 years, and they have their own personal interests, they have their own reasons as to why they support what they support. And that may be some of the reasons why they're not coming and speaking to people that are in the trucking industry, for example. You'll never know what could actually be done until you look at other alternatives. For example, our state, our country could be in a radically different position with something as simple as this. Right now, our governor is saying that, you know, we may possibly be on the verge of bankruptcy because of how long we've been closed. We're going to need a way to get back on track, and I want to be a part of that, and I'm sure all of you guys want to be a part of that as well.
Well, we definitely want to do that. Richie, you have anything to add before we go? I know that you being one of the advocates. Richie is one of the persons who's always behind the scenes. He's an advocate. He's a new blood in the town. He's been actually getting in campaigns, political campaigns, and trying to come in, and I think that you should come in because you are working really hard to reach people, and here it is, we wish you well in. And I want to just say something, I know a lot of you guys don't understand how much we can achieve if we work together. But after what happened with this COVID-19, you see all the abuses that we're going through. And I'm not talking about the abuses inside the board, I'm talking about the industry itself. Okay, we are small changes, we are going through a whole different scenarios. The rates have dropped because of the fuel surcharge, things are trying to go back to normal. We have to learn from our mistakes. We have to start understanding that we have to get involved. Okay, you're running for the 9th district. What cities do they get in there?
So in the 9th district, that consists of Passaic County, Bergen County, and Hudson County. It's quite a few cities. So
hey, you see,
let me pull that up.
If you live in Patterson, Passaic, Clifton, those Lyndhurst, those areas, this could be your congressman right here. You want to unite, right? The only way to do it right now is to vote for politicians that support us.
Yeah, and like I say, nobody's perfect. We are not perfect. We have we make mistakes over the years. But in order to understand and do better, you have to make mistakes. You have to fall down and stand up again. So you have to just forget about what happened in the past. Whatever is in the past is in the past. We always got to look forward. We can't live in the past. We have to start learning how to live in the present, and we have to start looking for the future. And I think that's something that you yourself have been telling everybody. Like you say, changes are going to come only if you get involved. Looking for the same politicians is great. I think they have a good sense of what needs to be done. But when you see the same results,
it's insanity.
Insanity. And that's something that we want to do. Hopefully you guys understand. Richie, you want to add something else to the people that are watching right now?
I want you guys to notice how powerful other organizations are. Look how powerful the NRA is. Look how powerful the Teamsters are and the unions are. That's because they get politically involved. They endorse politicians, and when those politicians win, they return the favor and help those people out. That could be our case. Who knows? Get politically involved. What do you got to lose anyways? What do you got to lose? Absolutely nothing.
There's doing nothing right now. It's not benefiting you anyway.
A lot of these guys they lost hope. They don't even like to vote.
Yeah, and that's why I said we understand, and believe me, we come from different countries. We come from minority countries where, unfortunately, our politicians have a different mentality, and they are feel neglected. That's why the reason they immigrate over here.
Right.
But we can't immigrate. We can't continue running. We have to stand up and we have to start fighting. We have to fight for the right things, not for you, not for me, for the future, for your kids, so they can have a better future. They don't have to move out to another country. You know how hard it is to go from one country to another country, especially with the language barrier. Why you want something like that to happen to your kids just because you don't want to stand up and fight? If you see all the demonstrations, yeah, we have a lot of looting and all that stuff, but in reality, the message is this: we are tired of the abuse, and we need to make changes to better our working conditions. In this case, in our industry, working conditions. And most important, the way that we are going to survive is by doing that. So I don't want to say, you want to do the last statement for these young ones over here? They're watching us right now to tell all the people to come out and vote for you.
So everyone, yeah, if you live in the 9th district and you want to support the campaign, you can learn more about what I stand for as well as some information. I'm going to have this video up on the website as well too. You can go and check it out at billy2020nj.com where you can learn more about that. If you'd like to volunteer, which would be a very big help, if you'd like to help with making phone calls door to door and helping with spreading the awareness of the campaign, you can go to the website. There's a volunteer section where you can do that there. You can also make a donation on the webpage if you'd like to support. And I really hope that you guys go out there, share this information with everybody, and hopefully we can make a huge change and change the trucking industry, as well as provide more jobs and help push our country forward. So, gentlemen, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just want to say something to end this real quick. we encourage everybody to remember the votes are going to come in a paper, so make sure that you go to your mailboxes and check that all the votes are going to be by mail.
Correct. It's going to be
So-
a vote by mail
Make sure
primary.
you register first.
Well, they're supposed to be registered by now, but if you check your mail, don't lose those votes. Go out there and vote. Don't just go out in the streets and make your protest. Do the protest by going out and vote.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you very much one more time. Enjoy the day.